Hey, welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. So, I used to go to events and networking opportunities all the time. But when COVID-19 hit, all of a sudden things started shifting in my schedule, and I think with so many people that tune in to Get Down to Business. So, I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by the author of a fantastic read. And that's Alon Alroy. He and his colleagues, Iran and Boaz, they wrote Event Success, Maximizing the Business Impact of In-Person, Virtual, and Hybrid Experiences. So Alon, first of all, welcome to Get Down to Business. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It is definitely my pleasure.
Absolutely. So Alon, you were named as Business Insider's 2021 most important one of 2021's most important marketing tech executives, as well as so many other titles by so many interesting publications. So I know you and your colleagues have been the pioneers in today's modern event software. So very, very timely that we're having this discussion. So Alon, first of all, how did you become interested in this topic? I'm assuming it wasn't you weren't waiting for COVID-19.
No, definitely not. Myself and my co-founders, we founded a company called Bizzabo. It's a Bizzabo around 10 years ago. And we did that because we became very passionate about the business of events, and we realized that there wasn't any solution to really help organizations manage everything around their conference. And we decided to do something about it. We've been providing software for in-person events for the last 9 years. And in March of 2020, suddenly hundreds of customers from around the world reached out to us with a very simple request: cancel the contract. We cannot run events anymore. That's it. And we had two choices: or we see how our business go down, or we reinvent ourselves and stay relevant. And within 3 weeks, we adjusted Bizzabo to become a solution for virtual events. And after we did the difficult decision to part ways with almost 25% of the company, and at the time we were 150 people, we told all of these people that, listen, if we are able to prove to the world that virtual events are a valuable solution, we're going to hire all of you back. And within 2 months, knock on wood, we hired everyone back, and we're able to, since then, grow the business by more than 200%. And virtual events are definitely a thing.
It sure is. So again, I'm chatting with the co-founder, chief marketing officer at Bizzabo, and together with your colleagues, Alon, I know you've worked with Iran and Boaz, and you've done some pretty darn amazing things with the company and have really revolutionized the industry. But the nice thing is, you haven't just done it, you've actually written about it, and you've actually provide the guidance and the tips in your book, Event Success. So, I don't want to share all of the secrets of the book, but you talk about the four problems that you call the event impact gap. Can we talk about all four of those briefly before we go to cut the break?
Sure. We realized that while events can be amazing and impactful, it is very, very difficult to really understand and to measure the outcomes of them. We all have a feeling that I should probably run an event if I run a marketing team because it can help drive pipeline, etc. But the gap talks about a gap in data. So it's very difficult to capture the data and to prove the data. There is a very big gap as it relates to audience engagement, so that you're not speaking into a black box, and that attendees are not just attendees, they're actually participants. And not only that, most event organizers are not used to run virtual events, so there is a people and process gap. And lastly, there is a technology gap, because virtual events were not a thing up until 2 years ago. So there is a very big gap that we need to close. And we framed all of it under the event impact gap, and we dive into that in the book, and we provide just very practical solutions and viewpoints into how to thrive in a new hybrid era. And this is the era that we all live in right now.
Absolutely. So who is this book intended for? Who can take something away and benefit from it either in their businesses, or is it only for event planners?
So today, when the cost to run an event are pretty low. This book is for any marketer. If you are promoting your business, you work in marketing, events are expected to become one of the most important, influential, impactful marketing channels. So if you're a marketer, if you care about events, this book is for you. It will definitely open your mind and provide some trends and best practices, and will connect you into the future of events, one of the industries that was impacted and disrupted the most throughout the pandemic.
Absolutely. And, I have so many more questions. We're gonna have a couple more minutes to talk about it after this break. We're gonna talk about some of the, again, the advice that you share on event success that will help people drive new sales and build thought leadership with high value in-person, hybrid, and virtual events. Again, I'm chatting with the co-author of Event Success, Maximizing the Business Impact of In-Person, Virtual, and Hybrid Experiences. I encourage all of our listeners to certainly look it up, and you can learn more about these amazing, amazing topics. Very, very timely. I know that it just published back in March of this year, and all of our listeners, regardless of your background, as Alon was just saying, can benefit from this topic. And I'll certainly link on my website. And speaking of my website, be sure to get there so you can subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast. Check out Get Down to Business on your favorite podcast app, so you don't miss a single episode of the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. So again, when we return, I'm going to continue our conversation with Alon Alroy, the co-author of Event Success, Maximizing the Business Impact of In-Person, Virtual, and Hybrid Experiences. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Check out my website, shalomklein.com. So I know all of our small business owners have been nodding their heads vigorously as we've been chatting with Alon Alroy, the co-author of Event Success, Maximizing the Business Impact of In-Person, Virtual, and Hybrid Experiences. And Alon is the Chief Marketing Officer and the co-founder of Bizzabo. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, but it really, really is a fascinating company that has grown by leaps and bounds. So, Alon, I want to focus the remainder of our discussion in your role as a co-founder of a company. On day one, did you ever imagine where your business would be today?
We always had big dreams. I definitely did not imagine that 10 years in, we would be serving some of the world's biggest organizations such as Salesforce and Amazon and the Financial Times, etc. But it all started from 3 people in a small garage behind my parents' backyard. So reflecting on today is definitely rewarding.
So, what has been the biggest surprise? And I'm going to ask as you sort of contemplate that question. Everybody has their struggles. It's not always sunshine and rainbows where everything is easy. You don't go from 0 to 100 in a year or 10 years. So, Alon, I'm curious, what was the biggest surprise as you and your colleagues grew Bizzabo?
Well, it really depends if you're talking about today or yesterday or tomorrow, because we really realized that the entrepreneurship journey is full of ongoing surprises. And at some point, when you embrace the fact that uncertainty is part of the game, you stop being surprised because you just know that this is it. These are the rules. And it allows you to develop a lot of resilience and to not treat the surprises as surprises, rather than it's another step that I need to overcome. And then you're starting to also celebrate those as many mini wins throughout the way. So these are not surprises. These are just the entrepreneurial journey that is full of small obstacles. And every time you overcome one of them, you're celebrating a win and you move on.
That's great advice. Absolutely. So, what are your plans when you talk about wins? What are your plans for the next decade in the business? Where are you hoping to be if we have this conversation in 2032?
We believe that the world is becoming more flat. Relationships are becoming a bit more flat, and we are very passionate about bringing people together to achieve great things. So we think about events as this amazing medium that is not disconnecting people rather than connecting people, regardless of where they are. And in a hybrid world in which you have hybrid events and virtual events and in-person events, these are all ways to connect to a wider audience through events. So again, in a world with a lot of technology that can disconnect people, we actually leverage technology to connect people. So we definitely think about the world in which gatherings are becoming even more amazing than they are today with the help of technology. And humans are just becoming better together by us
Awesome
bringing them
advice.
together.
Yeah, absolutely awesome advice. So we're running out of time, and I want to make sure all of our listeners can get in touch with you, learn more about the book, and of course get in touch with your team. How can people get in contact?
So to learn about Bizzabo, you can go to bizzabo.com. To learn about the book, you can go to bizzabo.com/event success. And you can follow us on Twitter at Bizzabo and personally at Alon Alroy. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share our story. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, I encourage all of our listeners definitely to get in touch. Thank you so much for joining us, Alon. And I look forward to bringing you back on well before 2032. But that's a wrap for us here on the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Get on my website, shalomklein.com, and always posting tips, advice, information over there for all of our listeners. But to success, let's get down to business. Have a great week ahead. We'll talk to you next Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 560 The Answer.